2016 Subaru. Actually, it's 9th month date code, so it's a 2017 Subaru. Customer came in, first time customer to the shop, no previous history or record. Complaint, AC doesn't work. Confirmed complaint, AC did not operate. Checked pressure, first checked refrigerant. It did show 7% air mixed in with the refrigerant. But not only that, looked for evidence of trace dye inside the caps. There was none. Usually you'll find out, especially when people try to work on the system themselves or go to the store and get the little cans with dye on them. 22 PSI when it arrived. Did a visual, nothing. Put in some gas just for pressure tests, just under regular pressure. And just to see if the clutch kicks on. Put some vapor in there, got it to 70 PSI, had my gauges on it, turned off the gas, turned on the vehicle. It only has vapor in it. Came down to like 3 PSI to 8 PSI on the low side because I was really low on gas, and 120 on the high side. While I was low on gas, 120. Only vapor pressure going in up to 70, 120 on the high side. I stuck some Tracer Line products by the company called Tracer Line, #1 company, with their Tracer Line light, and I gave it a once over with a visual. And this is the OptiPro Max. This is the one light still, other than the OptiPro 365. That is my top dog and my best one, but it's also $500 and some. This is what I consider the bottom line, which is better than every other one. This is what I consider your bare minimum you should have in your shop. It's OptiPro Max by Tracer Line, and you have to make sure it has the 3 stripes on it. If it has 2 stripes or 1 stripe, those are the cheaper version with the weaker LED on it. You don't want those ones. This one's so powerful, even in direct sunlight outside, you can still see the dye. The other ones have a little bit of problem. Every time I go to a trade show, I either bring this with me or my cell phone, my credit card, a few other things. They all have different tracer dyes from all the cars I get. I handle my cell phone case, my keys, and I go to every manufacturer's UV tracer light, and they always say how great their tracer light is. And first I hit it with my light, then I hit it with their light. Their light does not show the dye on my phone, on my keys, or anything else. But when I put this light on it, on all the little pores and the cracks and the button around the seam, on my keys in the groove, because I touch dye all the time, even when, I usually have gloves on, but there's dye everywhere in my car. It looks like a murder scene when you flash the UV light. This so far has been the best budget light to date that I have tested. The one that is not a budget economy part is the Opti 365. That is the big dog, the top dog, but most of you aren't going to buy that, so this is the one I promote for everybody to tell them to get. So let's get back to the scenario on this Subaru. So went around with the H10, and the H10 can find some small leaks. The H10 is one of the few that come with a calibration bottle. There's actually a calibrated hole down to like 1/4 ounce of loss of refrigerant per year. And if you've seen my other videos, I usually let guys test their refrigerant analyzers, leak detectors on my thing here, and they usually fail, or they have to hold it right up to it just to get it to beep. The H10, when you just pass it by, just like this, you just go by like this, and you don't go down to it like this. You just go above it like 1/4 inch, and you just go by it like that. This goes off. Most other leak detectors do not. So getting back down here, let's see if we could see it without the glass lens on it. So before, I could not find a leak using a leak detector. with just a low amount of refrigerant, and I put trace dye, could not find anything with a partial charge of refrigerant in here. The pressure, of course, would not go up, even though it will circulate the dye. Did not leak anything. After filling it up, running it for 15 minutes, recording all my test parameters, right down there. I'm trying to see if I could get this to zoom. And this is gonna be hard. There we go. Come on, right there. There you go. Now you can see it in the lens. Those leaks. Those leaks were not there before when testing with a low refrigerant charge. Those leaks, only one of them, started to appear once I drove the pressure above 180 PSI. And I said, okay, I found a leak. Oops, dropped my light. So I found my leak. Well, I wanted to take that one step further. And what I did was disconnect the fan, electric to the fan, and without the fans your condenser pressure will start going up more. And when I first found those leaks, it was so small you could not tell the difference between the leak of the refrigerant and oxidation on aluminum. You'll notice when around aluminum, depending where country you're from, when it oxidizes, it gets those little white oxidants, and you hit it with a UV light, sometimes it glows. Well, when that first one to the left started leaking, it looked like that. It was so small you could not differentiate it from anything else. And some bugs have a UV to them too, so you'll get dead bugs in there, and part of their scales will be UV fluorescent, or their wings, and they'll glow until you take a closer look and see it's just a bug particle. But so getting back to disconnecting the fans, I drove the pressure up, and once it got above 180, hitting towards 200, the second little leak right next to it started to appear. And I said, okay, so I found that. So I turned off the vehicle, located my leaks, turned back on the leak detector, and I put my leak detector right on top of the two leaks. Only the slightest little increase on one of them, just for a fraction of a second, and it stopped immediately. And I kept going back there. Now I knew there was something there, but I could not pick it up even with this. These kind of leaks, you even throw soap bubbles, nothing. So started the vehicle back up, disconnected the fans, left it disconnected so there's no airflow over the condenser. And as soon as I put the leak detector and it was over 180, 200 PSI, that's when this started to go off. Only on high pressure. The leak turns off at low pressure, and the leak turns back on at high pressure as the metal expands and the pressure inside the tubes and everything like that from the heat. Shut the vehicle off, go back to it again, nothing. Soap bubbles, nothing. Only when approaching 200 PSI. And this is one of those kind of leaks. So, quick video on that only. This finds most of the leaks. UV tracer dye usually only finds leaks will come back weeks or months later. It's nothing you'll find right away. But in this scenario, when it was sitting at a lower pressure below 180 PSI, the leaks would not leak. Only after driving the pressure over 180 would the leak start leaking again. So I could find it with this. Turn it off, leak stopped leaking. This located the leak. This is, I consider this, I've been using these since I was 12 years old. The H10 my dad had was from General Electric, and it had a leather case, and you had to plug it in the wall. And still to this day, these are the best leak detector on the market. That's about it. Catch you guys on the next video. And don't forget, if you think you're in the market of a light, that is the light to get, and make sure it has the 3 bands. Supposedly I heard they discontinued these, and now the ones that are in stock are much cheaper, so you even get them at a better bargain price than I did when I first originally bought.